Fireside Chat of 2023. I'm so pumped right now. I'm trying not to show it, but I'm pumped. This is going to be an amazing year. For those of you that have been following some of my content, this is the year of the emergence. We're elevating, we are emerging into our place of potential and power in this new year in 2023, and I'm really excited. Today we have with us an amazing guest, Trina Nurse, who is such a gift to the field of social work. I have the honor of chatting with her for just a few moments. We're going to talk about not just activism and social justice. We got a little surprise for you. We're going to talk about technology and social work. So stay tuned, stay with us the entire way. We want you to be engaged as always. Please connect with us. Share the content out, engage with us during the course of the conversation. If you're watching this later on and you're catching the replay, we still want to hear your thoughts. So leave your thoughts in the chat box, comment below, share it with friends, share it with the family, and don't forget to subscribe. So if you're watching this from our YouTube channel, if you subscribe to our channel, you'll get all the updates whenever we're going live again. Don't forget to follow me if you are on Shanequa More. Go ahead and click follow so you can get updates whenever I go live. And if you're on LinkedIn, watching us also, please support and follow the page as well. But anyway, I'm ready to get started. Away with the introductions, let's jump right into it. I am so excited to have Miss Trina Nurse with us.
Hi.
Trina in the house. Hey Trina, thank you for sharing this space with us. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited for this conversation.
This is an important conversation. We were talking in the studio, but I before we jump into the conversation, I want to formally introduce you. For those that don't know Trina, I want to read a little bit about her bio, and then I'm gonna give her the opportunity to introduce herself as well. And then we're gonna jump into crazy hot topic. Social workers, if you're watching, you're in for a treat. And if you're not a social worker, tech professional, parent, whatever you are, whoever you are, this is a conversation you definitely want to tune into until the end. So Trina Nurse is a Brooklyn native, all right, Brooklyn, Afro-Latina entrepreneur. She's a co-founder of Ask Mabel, which is a digital platform that empowers older adults to learn and practice digital communication and literacy. She's highly passionate in human services, helping victims of domestic violence, rape, sexual assault, and low socioeconomic status neighborhoods. Trina has also worked on initiatives towards eliminating some of the stigma associated with food pantries and family engagement, focusing on mental health. Trina currently is a community director at New York City Public Schools and an economic mobility fellow, and is pursuing her doctorates in social work at LIU, Long Island University. She's also beginning her term as a Columbia Alumni Association Board of Directors. Trina, you are the bomb. I'm so delighted to have you. And just want to mention that we are Columbia Alumni
Yes.
family. We're in a family together. So thanks for being with us. Anything I missed out, please, we love to hear it.
No, I think you did a great job at summarizing some of the work that I have been doing all along while being a mom of four. So yes, that's my main job, duty, responsibility to four sweethearts.
I love that so much. How old are your babies?
15,
Mm.
14, 12, and 4.
Wow, you've like almost every development age right now. So I can imagine, I love being a mom. I have a 10-year-old daughter, Genesis. Most people know that. I always talk about her. But I think being a mom, especially in when you're an entrepreneur, it really gives you that very special touch, that motherly instinct touch, that very personal message that you can relate to other parents. And so I love that. It really helps you out in entrepreneurship. So I love that. You know what? As a mom, you are an entrepreneur anyway. Honestly, it's a
We
lot of
wear
work.
several hats
That's
on a daily basis. It's
Hey, you're talking about four, so I can't imagine. Can't imagine. So let's jump into it. So we were actually talking, we're chatting in the studio, a few minutes before we went live, and one of the things that I learned about Trina was that um, Trina actually has been pursuing technology and social work. And what I want you to do, Trina, is to talk a little bit about what that trajectory has been like, what that journey has been like, how you ended up in technology, and just to give us a little more background about that.
Yes, sure. So I graduated from Columbia School of Social Work in May, and approaching graduation, the conversation is always, "Hey, what's your next step going to be?" And I really didn't know. Um, so I started exploring different opportunities and like trying to secure different baskets here and there. And I applied for a fellowship that is with BRL. It's a program under an incubator program under Robin Hood, which is a anti-poverty organization. So I knew that there was a lot of work that aligned with some of the initiatives that I have worked on, especially anti poverty initiatives. But at that point, I knew it would give me an exposure to technology that social workers tend to not have. Um,
Mm.
so when this was a summer opportunity that was offered, and I was super excited,
Mm.
again intimidated also because understanding that social workers tend to not really
Mm.
have opportunities in the tech world. So there were things that would come up like, what can I really.
I think you froze a little bit, Trina. We're having a little technology difficulty, so you know how this goes, y'all. So thank you so much for being patient with us. All right, she'll be back on. There you are.
Oh, my apologies.
No worries.
Oh,
This is what happens. Look, we're literally talking about technology. And then as we're talking about technology, we experience technological difficulties. So it is on topic. It is on. So
oh boy.
I think the last thing we heard you talk about was the disconnection between the opportunities within the field of social work to learn about technology. So if you want to sort of like continue on there, and then I love to jump into another question.
Yes, absolutely. So understanding after the pandemic, um, people were depending so much on technology, and understanding that not everyone has the same literacy level to technology, as well as um, there's different aspects to it. And this fellowship allowed me to bring in my social work hat into this environment and be able to help troubleshoot and have these conversations that are still important to our communities, because as we can see after the pandemic, everyone was really depending heavily on technology.
Mhm. You know, I love everything that you're saying, and the number of things are going through my head, and I think, and one of the things is what we talked about a few moments ago, but that's during a pandemic. I think that not only were we were, especially in the field of social work, not prepared, because I believe that there is a technological gap in our industry. And I think it's so interesting to hear you talk about ways in which you were able to integrate your social work degree and training into the technology field. So I think when we think of social work, we're thinking it has nothing to do with technology. When in reality, is everything to do with technology if we want to be relevant to what's going on in the world. So I'm wondering if you can speak to the importance of social workers being technologically savvy, but also integrating technology into social work practice.
So I'll be honest with you. When I entered this fellowship, there were things, that environment was very quick. Um, and they I'm busy trying to have these conversations, and how can we take care of ourselves and get to know each other? And they're just like, hey, I have this idea, I have this plan. And I'm just like, slow down, wait, because it's a fast paced environment where
Mhm,
I'm not accustomed to. I was too busy focusing on what will be the impact to the community. How can we develop relationships and try to figure out how we can care for one another in the process? Um, and there was definitely that difference, me going into that environment, which is why I think it's very important for social workers to have that exposure, for it to be part of our conversations, because understanding as the years develop, things will depend more and more on technology.
mhm,
um, some efforts that I worked were correlated to anti-poverty initiatives.
mm,
Um, like, for example, a platform for food pantries, where it would be a digital food pantry, as well as Axe Mabel, which is a digital literacy platform for older adults.
mhm,
Um, are they have everything to do with social work and helping, empowering, and educate and encourage our neighborhoods, our communities,
mhm,
but it's just from a different perspective. It's a different approach. So having institutions bring in programs that are addressing technology for social workers
mhm,
to normalize and empower, so that they're, after graduation or
mhm,
after some time in the fields, they can say, hey, you know what? I'll be able tr- um, to enter a program that is tech based and not feel the insecurities that I did.
mhm,
Um, because as a social worker, is this an environment for me? Will it be for me? Yes, it is for me. But how
mhm,
can I make it for me? So having that support is so important from different aspects, like I mentioned, just to normalize it, so that there's no insecurities at any point, because we understand there's different levels of social workers. It's
mhm,
not what society tells us. Like, I've
mhm.
heard people say, oh, you're just a social worker. No, I'm not a social worker.
That's right.
Let me educate you as
Educate.
to,
Hello?
yes, yes.
And I love that. You know what I love about our profession? I think it's the best profession in the world. Of course, I'm biased out there, but what I love about our profession is we're needed in every part of the world. We're needed in
Absolutely.
every part of society. And this is such a brand new and I think such an open market for those that are in social work and you're wondering, do I go into technology? Do I go into Yes, we need you in technology. Why? Because we're underrepresented in this field. And there are a number of reasons, and other reasons why. I think one of the things I want to highlight, Trina, as you were talking, I thought about 3 points. And one of them was that when COVID hit, one of the things that it did was it forced us into a world of technology. It forced us into an online world. Whether we were ready or not ready for it, we were forced into it. And so from that came new models that were developed. And from those new models, there were online communities that were developed and that were built. And so I think a lot of organizations had this dilemma, like my organization, where we built these online communities and we're able to expand our reaches through technologies, different cities and states around the country. But then the question becomes, when we open up, what do we do with this online community? Do we forsake them? Do we throw them away? Or do we keep them because we recognize that this is the new normal? This
Yeah.
is the way in which the world is going. And so I think, how do we equip our institutions, especially those that are providing services within social service or social work based services? How do we equip our institutions in the realm of technology so that we remain relevant to the way the world is going? Because the other point is that there is a generation that is rising, and it is not the millennials. Okay, I am a millennial. We're getting old, y'all.
Same.
Okay. It is not the millennials, guys. It is the alpha generation. Hello. And so what will happen in the next 20 years is the world will look very different. The
Absolutely.
world will look very different because our children now will be the ones in position and leadership. So how do we get our institutions to align with the way the world is going? How do we get our schools of social work to start building this into the curriculum to better prepare our future social workers for this world?
Absolutely, I agree. Um, I quickly noticed that we in the tech world, people experience, or there's conversations of, this doesn't apply to us, so let's disregard it, or let's put a pin in it, let's move forward. And that's a problem. This is why we need social workers in these positions, to educate, empower, encourage, um, and just approaching things from a social work lens can really help develop these platforms. As a mom, I quickly, during the pandemic, understanding I had to accommodate
Mm.
4 different people
Wow.
that were getting education from 4 different institutions.
Mhm.
Um, Along with what I needed to depend. And I realized not everyone was on the same track. Um, and because of that, I understood, wow, we need to be better prepared. In
Mm.
order to be better prepared, we have to normalize, um, and bring awareness. Um, you know, I don't I wouldn't know what an institution has to do to actually incorporate these opportunities. But, like, for example, I reached out to Colombia and I said, hey, thank you for even bringing awareness to this fellowship. It
Mm.
was amazing. This is what came from it. And if I can help put this in front of others to take on this opportunity, why not? So just that little seed,
Mhm.
planting that little seed can really go a long way.
Absolutely. I mean, seed form is powerful.
Absolutely.
I think about something way off topic, that, but just in that analogy of seed form. When I was a student at Columbia 10 years ago, I won't tell you guys, so you guess my age. I had planted a seed of an anti-racism initiative, and I was fought tooth and nails for it. And this was, some time ago. But I'm happy to know that today they have built in their curriculum. So seed form is powerful, and I think that's exactly what it takes. People like you, Trina, that have the knowledge, the expertise, and the passion to bring these things in front of institutions and universities to challenge them to say, we need this. We need to better prepare our students and our professionals for this. One of the things that you mentioned that I want you to expound a little more on is the social work lens and technology. For those that may be wondering what that looks like, can you give us like a concrete example of what does it look like to have a social work lens within technology?
Yes, absolutely. So, for example, there was my team is composed of a UX designer, a lawyer, um, a librarian, um, a social worker. So it's 5 of us. And there were moments where I would say there are some heated conversations that come about.
Mhm,
And let's say something like developing a plan
mhm,
for our business. I'm like, listen, we're anti-poverty. We're trying to focus on, and I'm hearing, well, we're trying to figure out how we can get money and, develop our ideas. And I'm just like, hold on, slow down. Here's what we're not going to do. Um,
mhm,
we need to focus on anti-poverty initiatives. If we're saying this will be for free, this is a platform that older adults will be able to access.
mhm,
Um, so just even simple conversations like that,
mhm,
or how can we be mindful of the verbiage that we utilize on the platforms? There
mhm,
might be like, for example, a expression was used, and I told one of my peers, hey, I don't think that expression would fit well,
mhm,
because it could be triggering to folks. And
mm.
she's like, oh, thank you for bringing awareness. Like, I didn't think
Wow.
of it. Right. So simple things like that can really go a long way and can really make an impact.
That is so powerful. I like literally just got chills hearing that because I'm thinking in so many layers and dimensions right now and how we really need to shift our paradigm in the realm of technology. I think that, for so long, generations, before millennials, were so adverse to technology and so adverse to learning about it and utilizing it and integrating it into our practice. But hearing you give like that one concrete example, it opens up so much more in terms of ways in which we really need to start thinking about how to create sort of career pathways for social workers to be in technology so that we are raising awareness over things like language or verbiage that are used in platforms, or that we're thinking of thing technology, even the creation of certain platforms and softwares, but we're thinking about it in a way that's equitable and from a social work lens. I think that is so powerful, and something that we really need to start driving more.
Absolutely. And you know what? I wanted to go back to something that you said. I want to encourage students that are still trying to navigate these institutions and these conversations and trying to find out where they're going. If something doesn't sit right with you, speak up. Silence is just contributing to the overall issue.
Mhm,
So if you have to work on an initiative that by yourself, sometimes you might have to stand alone, but you
mhm.
have to be willing to take on that fight because there will be people behind you that can benefit from that and that will join that effort. And that just, I guess, comes back around with the social justice aspect of social work. That is just one of our principles. Be willing to take on, to stand up, and even if you have to do it by yourself, as long as you in your heart know that this is not right, this is not okay, this requires conversations and adjustments, do it, bring awareness, because sometimes these institutions have these models implemented for years.
Mm,
Like for example, Colombia,
mhm,
they're going on 125 years.
mhm,
Um, amazing work being done, but
mhm.
I'm sure their students can also contribute to the development um, in in its whole, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. This is such a pivotal time where our schools of social work and all, not just schools of social work, but other industries really need to start looking at our institutions and ways in which we're outdated, ways in which the models that we're currently using doesn't work anymore, and how do we recreate or reimagine our models with those that are in this generation. They need to be a part of that reimagining process. We can't reimagine a model for the future without including the future into the conversation. So how do we reimagine them with our students by our side? It's really pivotal. So I love this conversation, and along that line I'm thinking about now clinical practice. So within social work we have multiple fields. We can go into macro, business, technology, government, politics, clinical practice. I'm thinking of one thing that I used to hear my old interns tell me. I'm remembering one intern, and she, was like, Miss Moore, I can't get this one student to engage and listen to me in sessions. I'm asking him all these questions. He doesn't want to answer me. I said, well, so when you're in a session and you're asking him the questions, what is he doing? And she's like, well, he's playing Roblox. So I said, well, play Roblox with him. Download it on your phone. Meet him where he is. Is that not social work 101? But I think we've been taught to essentially be averse towards technology in social work. And as opposed to trying to understand it and utilize it to our advantage, we've been and I feel that that's one of the shortcomings of our field, is that we tend to push away where the world is going, and then once we catch on, is we're already behind. The world is onto something else. We're like, wait, we actually do need technology and metaverse. They're like, we're on to something else. You guys, you should have caught it before.
Yeah.
But what does it look like if we're on time with the era that we live in?
Being on time, I would say, in my personal opinion, would mean empowerment of our communities.
I love that.
For example, with Ask Mabel, this was a platform where we're asking older adults, what is it that you all need? But then not only older adults, understanding that these other entities like social services and all these other resources that are available, how can we now collaborate
Mhm.
with older adults, the agencies, and develop this platform to make things easier for them?
I love that.
We don't want an older adult to have to commute to an office and
Mhm.
spend hours
Mm.
when the information is easily accessible
Mm.
on a website,
Mhm.
on an app, or having to spend hours on the phone waiting for someone to answer the phone. Imagine how frustrating that is,
Yeah.
while also incorporating what they like, you know. Um, the first idea was, how can we incorporate gaming,
Yeah.
so and as well as address isolation. So
Mhm.
understanding that there's so many levels, it's like an onion,
Mhm.
um, in this world. How
Yeah.
can we now all get together, be on the same page to encourage and empower and educate, so that 5, 10 years from now, this will no longer be an issue. And it's not, we say this is for older adults, but anyone who feels like they need that literacy support.
Mhm.
We met with programs that would say to us, hey, we don't even have staff to teach
Mm.
digital literacy.
Mhm.
What happens to those that are home and are not able to commute? How can we also reach out to them?
Yeah.
Uh, so, that being said, it gives us a level of understanding that if we were all to get on the same page,
Mhm.
we can really develop so much quickly. And because there's so much hands in this pot.
Mhm. I love that, Trina. And I think if you can just tell us a little more about what your app provides to those that may not be aware, and how do they access it and download it as well? That'd be great for us to hear.
Sure. So I believe that we will be providing the yes, the website down below. Like I said, this is a platform of it's 5 of us on this team, phenomenal individuals. Um, and pretty much what happens is folks are able to just log in, put in their telephone number, and it's text based. So being able to decide how often you want to have these lessons, what lessons it is that you need.
Mhm.
Um, and we are also collaborating with entities to figure out how can we also contribute, um, because like I mentioned with let's say with the Human Resource Administration, understanding that they have digital navigators there,
Mhm.
but they have to attend to a group full of people,
Mhm.
um, which digital literacy understanding could be look different for everyone. So
Mhm.
at least we're targeting older adults and saying, hey, this is for you all.
Right.
So we're trying to figure out different lessons, develop, and even we're in conversations trying to figure out how can we also provide those classroom exposure to
Mhm.
teach how to navigate emails, text messaging. Now with the pandemic, people are relying a lot on video chat. So
Hmm.
let's make this a normal thing for them to adapt to, while empowering them and encouraging them in the process.
That's amazing. It's phenomenal. It is brilliant. And so, those that want to learn more about Axe Mabel, please do visit the website www.axmabel.org right on the screen. I think this is a brilliant idea. I think you are solving a major problem that exists in our worlds. And what I love most about it is that you are a social worker, you are Afro Latina, and you are a woman. I love those three things because we are underrepresented in
Absolutely.
these fields. We're underrepresented as women of color, but also as social workers. So you bridge the gap on three levels. I think it's so brilliant. I love what you're doing, Trina. And I'm excited about where this vision is going to take you. So I'm also thinking that you mentioned the human service field, and I know there are huge technological gaps with even getting connected to services, the social services, getting connected, whether it's to SNAP benefits or to other things, or renewing just the trips to offices or having to come in. I see this also addressing that in the future. So I love what you're doing, and I love that the brilliant social worker is behind it. So congratulations for your success, and for all that you will be doing and changing our industry.
Thank you. And you know what? As a matter of fact, all of my colleagues are identify as people of color. And just being able to have such a strong team that wants to empower and bring awareness to these issues and educate in the process, it's really been an honor to work with them. Sometimes, like I mentioned, things get heated, but that's okay. That's the point. This is why we need social workers in these spaces, just to bring awareness and just like a gentle reminder of, hey, remember our core concepts and
Mm,
what it is that we're trying to do in the process.
I love it. You're such a leader. You're a trailblazer, Trina.
Thank
And
you.
I think you're an example to many that may have a passion to help, but may want to do that in technology. So thank you, Trina. How can people reach you or get in touch with you if they wanted to reach out?
So my LinkedIn is down below. Please feel free. And my email is trinanurse@gmail.com. Please feel free, if there's any efforts, any opportunity, any room for collaboration. Um, Especially focusing on some of the initiatives that we spoke about today. I'm very big on, most of my research has been done on homelessness, housing mobility, and encouragement and supporting our communities, as well as food insecurities, among others. But definitely feel free to reach out. I'm always for a fight. And like I mentioned, for those who's having that moment where they're like, hey, I think this is good, or this is something I should share, do it. Go ahead, take that leap of faith, because you never know how far it will go. I don't care if you're a student, I don't care if you're not an activist or a social worker. If you have the fire within you, stand strong and fight, because this is what it's about.
I love that. Find your place in the world. Each and every one of us have a place. We have to find it and fight for it. I love that. Thank
Absolutely.
you so much, Trina. Thank you.
Thank
I don't want
you.
to go, but I know we're out of time. We have to bring you back because there's so much more to cover on this topic, and we can't cover it all in 30 minutes. So we'd love to have you back in the near future.
Absolutely.
But we appreciate you, and it's been an honor to share this space with you. We also want to thank all of our viewers for watching and tuning in and sharing your lunch hour with us. You could have been doing anything, but you tuned in and you watched this fireside chat. And for that, we are so grateful and humbled. Thank you so much to all of you. Please share this content out as we continue to amplify important messages to our communities of color. And I also want to remind you that tomorrow, January 6th, we'll be releasing episode number 5 of the ATL Rise podcast, where we're talking about fatherhood, co parenting, and divorce. Don't forget to download it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Podbeam. We appreciate you all so much. We love you. Happy New Year again, and stay tuned until we see you again.
Bye, everyone.